Mad honey is often discussed as a mystery, but its story becomes clearer when science and tradition are viewed together rather than in conflict. For centuries, local communities understood mad honey through observation, experience, and caution. In recent decades, scientific research has added explanation and structure to that knowledge. When these two ways of understanding are combined, mad honey stops being a curiosity and becomes a case study in how human knowledge evolves. Traditional understanding came first. In mountain regions where mad honey occurs naturally, people did not begin with chemical analysis or lab testing. They learned by watching patterns. They noticed which seasons produced stronger honey, which flowers the bees visited, and how the honey affected the body when taken in different amounts. Over time, this knowledge was refined and passed down carefully. What mattered most was not why mad honey worked, but how to live safely alongside it. These traditions emphasized limits. Mad honey was never treated as ordinary food. Elders warned against excess and taught that its effects depended on timing, environment, and the individual. This caution was not superstition. It was an early form of risk management built from real outcomes. When someone took too much, the lesson became part of collective memory. Tradition functioned as a living record of trial and consequence. Modern science entered the picture much later. Researchers approached mad honey with different tools but similar curiosity. Instead of stories and seasonal markers, they used microscopes, chemical analysis, and controlled studies. Science identified the compounds responsible for mad honey's effects and mapped how they interact with the human nervous and cardiovascular systems. What tradition had described through experience, science described through mechanisms. Importantly, science did not erase traditional knowledge. In many cases, it confirmed it. Scientific findings explained why small amounts produced mild effects and why larger amounts could be dangerous. They clarified why symptoms varied from person to person and why environmental conditions mattered. This alignment strengthened credibility on both sides. Tradition gained scientific context and science gained historical depth. One of the most valuable outcomes of this cooperation is clarity around risk. Traditional warnings were often broad and metaphorical, designed to be remembered easily. Science translated those warnings into measurable thresholds and physiological explanations. Together, they formed a more complete safety framework. Neither approach alone would have been sufficient. Another area of cooperation is classification. Traditional communities often distinguish types of mad honey by taste, color, or origin. Science supported this by showing how variations in plant sources and geography influence chemical composition. What was once described as stronger or weaker became understandable as differences in concentration and floral chemistry. This helped bridge language gaps between cultures and research institutions. The relationship also works in reverse. Tradition provides context that science alone cannot. Laboratory studies cannot fully replicate the environmental and cultural conditions under which mad honey is harvested and understood. Without traditional insight, scientific research risks isolating the substance from the system that produced it. Cooperation prevents oversimplification. This partnership also influences how mad honey is discussed globally. When science and tradition are presented together, the narrative shifts away from hype and fear. Mad honey is neither a miracle nor a menace. It is a natural substance with specific properties, understood best when both historical use and modern evidence are considered. This balanced framing reduces misinformation and encourages thoughtful learning. Educational documentaries, academic collaborations, and field research increasingly reflect this approach. Researchers consult local knowledge holders. Cultural historians work alongside scientists. This model respects intellectual heritage while still advancing understanding. Mad honey becomes an example of ethical knowledge sharing rather than extraction. The broader lesson extends beyond mad honey itself. It shows that science and tradition are not opposites. They are different lenses focused on the same reality. Tradition captures long-term patterns across generations. Science explains those patterns at a structural level. When combined, they produce insight that is both grounded and precise. In a global context where wellness information spreads quickly, this cooperation matters. It slows down assumptions and encourages responsibility. Instead of asking how to use mad honey, the better question becomes how to understand it properly. Science provides evidence. Tradition provides wisdom. Together, they guide interpretation rather than consumption. Mad honey's story reminds us that progress does not always mean replacement. Sometimes it means integration. By listening to the past and testing with modern tools, we gain a clearer picture of the present. That clarity is not just about mad honey. It is about how knowledge itself moves forward. Subscribe for evidence-based cultural science content.